In a world quick to script our stories, one truth cuts through. Change doesn't come from podiums, it comes from the people who refuse to stay silent. Jasmine Crockett didn't just speak that night, she reminded us that every barrier broken paves the way for the next dreamer. So to the young leaders watching, the ones with torn shoes on cracked tracks, the ones holding doors for those behind you, keep stepping up. Keep demanding more. Because America's promise isn't handed down, it's claimed, one unfiltered voice at a time. What story will you tell next? Hit like if this fired you up, subscribe for more real talk on the fights that matter, and drop a comment. What's one change you'd fight for today? Thanks for watching. It was never supposed to be this kind of night. The invitation had gone out months earlier, a national youth town hall. The next generation speaks. Neutral title. Neutral venue. A gleaming performing arts center on the campus of Howard University. Neutral moderator. A respected education reporter from NPR. The plan was simple. Give young voters a chance to hear fresh voices on the biggest issues of their lives. 2 guests, one from each side of the aisle, both under 40. One a sitting member of Congress, the other the youngest son of the 45th and now again 47th president. Everyone expected sparks. No one expected fire. The auditorium doors opened at 6 p.m. By 6:30 the place was overflowing. Students lined the walls. Overflow rooms filled. Campus police had to turn hundreds away. Something in the air felt different, like the night Obama accepted the nomination in 2008, or the night Bree Newsom climbed the flagpole in South Carolina. People didn't just come to watch. They came to witness. Backstage, the contrast was already stark. Jasmine Crockett stood alone in a small dressing room, eyes closed, lips moving silently. She wasn't praying for victory. She was remembering every child she'd ever represented as a public defender, every single mother who cried in her office, every school she'd walked through that smelled like mildew and broken promises. She adjusted the gold bamboo earrings her grandmother had given her the day she passed the bar, slipped on the red power suit that made white folks nervous, and whispered to her reflection. Speak for the ones who never get this room. Across the hall, Barron Trump sat on a folding chair surrounded by 4 advisors, 2 Secret Service agents, and a speech coach running him through last-minute pivots. His tie was knotted perfectly. His hair didn't dare move. He repeated his closing line under his breath. America rewards those who refuse to make excuses. He believed it. He had lived it. He had no idea what was coming. The house lights dimmed at exactly 7 p.m. The moderator walked out, welcomed everyone, laid out the ground rules: civility, respect, no personal attacks. The audience laughed out loud at that last part. They already knew those rules were about to be shredded. Barron entered first to polite, curious applause. He waved like his father taught him, small, controlled, above the head. He took his place at the podium on stage right, hands folded, chin high, the very picture of disciplined composure. Then the beat dropped. Not music, energy. Jasmine Crockett walked out to a roar that rattled the rafters. Red suit blazing under the lights, heels clicking like gunshots across the stage. She didn't wave. She nodded once, slow, deliberate, the nod of a queen acknowledging her people, and took her place. The applause didn't stop until she raised one hand, palm open, and the way church mothers do when the spirit is too high. The moderator tried to start. Crockett spoke over her, gently but unmistakably. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to every student who rode a bus for hours to get here. Thank you to every parent who worked a double shift so their baby could be in this room tonight. Thank you to every ancestor who is watching this from the other side, smiling because we finally got a seat at a table they were never allowed to touch. The crowd lost it again. Barron shifted his weight. For the first time, the half the room wasn't looking at him at all. The moderator, sweating now, jumped in. First question: what is the single greatest challenge facing young Americans today? Barron went first. He delivered the answer he'd practiced 100 times in the mirror at Mar-a-Lago. I believe the greatest challenge is reclaiming personal responsibility in an age of excuses. We have to restore discipline in classrooms, rebuild the nuclear family, eliminate the distractions of social media and victimhood culture, and give young people the tools, not handouts, to compete and win in a brutal global economy. He finished with the confident half-smile that had been trained to deploy. A few people clapped. Most waited. Crockett didn't lean into the mic. She gripped it with both hands like it was a staff. Let me tell you what the greatest challenge is, she began, voice low enough that every person in the last row leaned forward. The greatest challenge is trying to survive a system that was designed for you to fail before you even took your first breath. She let that settle. It's going to school hungry because your mama had to choose between groceries and the light bill. It's praying the school bus shows up on time because if you're late one more time they'll suspend you, and suspension feeds the school to prison pipeline they swear doesn't exist. It's watching your older brother get accepted to college and still have to turn it down because financial aid doesn't cover ambition. It's knowing that no matter how perfect your resume is, your name still sounds too ethnic to some hiring manager who will never admit it. She looked dead at Barron. That is the challenge. And the worst part? Having to smile through it while people who have never felt that weight tell you to just work harder. The applause started slow, a rumble in the balcony, then exploded into a standing ovation before she even finished the sentence. Barron's fingers tightened on the edge of his podium. Question after question, the pattern repeated. Barron gave answers that sounded like they were written by a focus group in Northern Virginia: school choice, opportunity zones, personal accountability, law and order, meritocracy, bootstrap, bootstrap, bootstrap. Crockett answered with stories. She told them about the 14-year-old girl in Dallas who shared one outdated laptop with 4 siblings and still made valedictorian, only to lose her full ride because her mother made $47 too much to qualify for the Pell Grant increase. She told them about the 15-year-old boy in Atlanta who was suspended for defiant hairstyle because his locks touched his collar while white boys with mullets walked free. She told them about the senior in Detroit who worked the night shift at Amazon to help pay rent, fell asleep in class, got written up for insubordination, and lost the college recommendation he needed because the counselor didn't have time. Every story landed like a brick through stained glass. And every time Barron tried to respond with data or theory, Crockett translated it back into flesh and blood. He said, studies show school choice improves outcomes. She shot back, studies don't ride 3 buses at 5 a.m. to get to the better school that still has police in the hallway, but no AP classes. He said, we need to stop the culture of victimhood. She said, victimhood is having your humanity voted on every election cycle by people who will never know your child's name. He said, if you follow the law. She told the story of Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, and the 17-year-old client who was almost coerced into a false confession for a crime he didn't commit. By the time they reached criminal justice reform, Barron's voice had lost its early certainty. His answers grew shorter. His eyes kept flicking to his advisors offstage, as if waiting for someone to throw him a lifeline that never came. Then came the moment that will be taught in classrooms 50 years from now. An 18-year-old young man from Southeast D.C., hoodie 2 sizes too big, voice shaking, tears already in his eyes, stood up without waiting to be called on. Miss Jasmine, Mr. Barron, I got a 4.3 GPA. I'm student body president. I've never been suspended, never smoked, never drank. I volunteer at the senior center every Saturday. My dream is to go to law school and come back and defend kids who look like me. But every time I tell people that, they laugh. They say, that's cute, but maybe you should think about something more realistic. He turned directly to Barron. So I need to know, from both of you, but especially from you, Mr. Trump, do you actually believe somebody who grew up in my neighborhood, who looks like me, who talks like me can really grow up to be president one day? Or is that just something we tell kids to keep them quiet? The moderator started to intervene. We'll take that in the next segment. Crockett raised one finger. The moderator sat down. Barron cleared his throat, the same throat that had sounded so confident 90 minutes earlier. Yes, he said, voice softer now. In America, if you work hard enough, stay out of trouble, and never stop believing in yourself, anything is possible. That's the beauty of this country. The young man looked down at his shoes. He already knew that answer. He'd heard it his whole life. Then Jasmine Crockett did something no one will ever forget. She stepped out from behind the podium entirely. She kicked off her heels, yes, kicked them off right there on live television, and walked barefoot across the stage until she was standing less than 5 feet from the edge. The cameras followed. The spotlight followed. The entire country followed. She looked at the young man like he was the only person in the universe. Baby, she said, voice cracking with love and fury in equal measure, let me tell you what I know. You can be president. You will have to be 10 times better than they expect, 20 times stronger than they can imagine, and 100 times more resilient than they will ever feel fair. You will have to win debates where they change the rules halfway through. You will have to smile when they mispronounce your name on purpose. You will have to watch people who partied their way through school get handed jobs because their daddy plays golf with the senator. You will have to forgive people who will never ask for your forgiveness. And you will do it anyway. She turned slowly, talking in every face: black, brown, white, Asian, native, immigrant, first gen, poor, middle class, every single one. That is the price they never put on the brochure. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. Every time you keep going, every time you get back up, every time you force them to see you, you are rewriting the story for the next child who looks like you. You are the answer to somebody's prayer right now. Then she looked straight at Barron, not with hate, not even anger. Just clarity. Your father likes to say he alone can fix it. But the truth is, none of us fixes this alone. We fix it when someone who had every door opened for them finally chooses to hold one open for somebody else. She walked back to her spot, slipped her heels back on without looking down, and faced the moderator. I'm done for the night. Everything that needed to be said has been said by the young people in this room. The rest is on the people who have the power to change things. She stepped back. The moderator stammered, tried to close. But the students were already on their feet, not cheering, testifying, hands in the air, tears streaming, hugging strangers, professors openly sobbing. Even some of the Secret Service agents looked away to blink fast. Barron stood motionless for a long time. Then, slowly, he walked across the stage, no advisors, no script, no talking points, and extended his hand. Jasmine looked at it, looked at him. Then she took it. One firm shake, eye to eye. No smile, just acknowledgement. He said, barely audible over the still roaring crowd, "Thank you for tonight." She answered, just as quietly, "Don't thank me. Listen." And in that moment, something shifted, not just in that room, but in living rooms and dorm rooms and group chats across the country watching the livestream. Because for 90 unforgettable minutes, privilege didn't get to speak over pain. It had to sit down, shut up, and take notes. The house lights came up. The cameras cut to black. But the fire Jasmine Crockett lit that night? It's still burning. And somewhere, a whole generation of young people who had been told to wait their turn finally understood. Their turn is now. The mic isn't coming. They're taking it. In a world quick to script our stories, one truth cuts through. Change doesn't come from podiums, it comes from the people who refuse to stay silent. Jasmine Crockett didn't just speak that night, she reminded us that every barrier broken paves the way for the next dreamer. So to the young leaders watching, the ones with torn shoes on cracked tracks, the ones holding doors for those behind you, keep stepping up. Keep demanding more. Because America's promise isn't handed down, it's claimed, one unfiltered voice at a time. What story will you tell next? Hit like if this fired you up, subscribe for more real talk on the fights that matter, and drop a comment. What's one change you'd fight for today? Thanks for watching.